When you go on any gaming website like IGN or GameSpot, or even read a magazine like Game Informer, you may notice something to do with their scores that's kind of odd. Why are no games really rated below a 6? That's not saying that a lot of games aren't rated below a 6. They just don't really show up in the public eye as often. You can go and search through GameSpot's entire archive history and find hundreds, possibly thousands of games rated below 6. But more modern games that you see in the public eye, you see trailers on YouTube every day, those don't really get a 6 often. They sometimes can get a 6 if they're really bad, sometimes 5s and 4s if they're really below average and not up to par with the public opinion, but there's usually a reason behind why games that you may not find that enjoyable or great are given scores like 7s or 8s. Some reviewers are known for giving lower scores to games that don't necessarily deserve it. Popular games media journalist Jim Sterling is an example where he gave Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a 7 out of 10, which sparked a lot of controversy. People started sending him many various messages and that were not very friendly, and so that just sort of sparked the argument and had me really thinking about this topic a little bit. There's also sites like IGN where they just give games like Pokemon, you think Pokemon, you think, okay, maybe the newer ones are really good, maybe 8s and 9s, but it became like a really big meme that IGN gave the 3rd gen remakes a 7.8 out of 10 just for the fact that it had too much water among various other small minor things. So people were mad at them about that and they were memed to death. So that's just one side of the spectrum for that. On the other side of the spectrum, there are people that say that there's some games, journalist media that give higher scores to games that don't deserve it. For example, when you have games like Madden and COD that release every year, NBA 2K, FIFA and NHL and all those games that release every year, people are very, very strong in their opinions that those kind of games are simply just bad every year, and I guess they think they're poorly made. And like, I have a Game Informer magazine right next to me, and it even says that it gave Madden NFL 18 has an 8.25 out of 10, but they gave something like the new Batman Telltale game a 6.5. So it's all opinionated, and many different reviewers write these games as well. So Lawbreakers got 7.75, so it's really all up to opinion, but I'll explain why most likely people have these sort of opinions. Ignoring any sort of conspiracy for why reviewers give higher scores to games by major publishers, basically this main conspiracy being that reviewers are paid to give higher scores so more people buy copies. I don't really believe in that. It doesn't really make sense or honestly benefit anyone, because if it was like that, people would see right through it, but I don't truly see that on a major scale. Maybe in a couple isolated cases, but not really on an overall sense. One possibility is that games are judged by their own individual value and as a singular creation rather than one as multiples of a series. For example, one of the most unpopular games of all time is Final Fantasy XIII. A lot of people can't stand that game because it's not like 9, it's not like 7, it's not like 10, but it's something very, very not good. It's linear, it's boring, Lightning is a bland character, until maybe 13.3, but she is not very exciting at all in the entire series. Just to say, she's not really a good character, and those games are not very good to say as a Final Fantasy game in terms of if you compare it to the rest of its series. But if you were to say Final Fantasy 13 and take off Final Fantasy 13 and write Lightning does some things with their friends and have fun, then maybe you could say, wow, this game is pretty decent on its own. It's not bad. People would maybe like it if maybe they lowered the price, or it wasn't made by Square Enix. Like, on its own merit, the game is fine, but we have this sort of standard, since it has Final Fantasy and a number in the title, that it's not good to compare the rest of its series, which isn't a bad way of thinking, but it can be kind of upsetting to see people only basing it off of comparing it to other games in the series, and we should probably move away from that sort of ideology. Neither side is really wrong or right, whether they believe that the most objective people should review games or that maybe the most subjective people should review games, because it doesn't really matter. There will always be someone that says, why was X game given Y score compared to the other Z game? Say what you want about a game. If you want to give it a 3 and other people are giving it 9s, and do that, but don't be upset when people really, come out at you and be mad. But people that are coming out and being mad should also realize that it is their opinion and they're entitled to it. You can say, I disagree, but don't, threaten them or anything like that, like Jim Sterling experienced. Having civilized, that's a really important word, civilized conversation about games, game media, and the like. So, yeah, thanks for watching.